guidelines the second limitation in my guidelines is that the only safeguard I could put into the guidelines was an after-the-event, a requirement for an after-the-event investigation by the police into what had happened. And let me just, if I may, quote the President of the Supreme Court when he analysed that. This is our most senior judge, not me, this is what he said. A system whereby a judge or other independent assessor is satisfied in advance that someone has a voluntary, clear, settled and informed wish to die, and for his suicide then to be organised in an open and professional way, would provide greater and more satisfactory protection for the weak and vulnerable than a system which involves a lawyer from the DPP's office inquiring after the event whether the person who had killed himself had such a wish. Now, I've heard the comments about the safeguards in the bill, and I know how hard it was to come up with the right safeguards in my guidelines. It took me time to arrive at safeguards which I think could be generally accepted.
Point of order, Madam Deputy Speaker.
On a point of order, Mr. Evans.
Madam Deputy Speaker, at the beginning of this particular session, we were told that 85 people had put in to speak, and we were given guidance as to how long our speeches should be. Notwithstanding, I fully appreciate that the current speaker is making a valuable contribution, but please could you remind the House yet again as to what time limit you think people should adhere to without a compulsory time limit being put on.
And I am order! I'm grateful for the advice of my honourable friend. I would not have taken advice from any other member of this House, as I'm quite capable of judging how long a member is taking, but my honourable friend is in the unique position of offering his advice to me, and I'm taking it. The honourable gentleman who currently has the floor... Order! The honourable gentleman who currently has the floor is in a unique position of giving information to this House on this extremely difficult issue. I have therefore allowed a considerable leeway for the honourable gentleman, and I'm sure that the House will agree with that. At the same time, I'm also sure that the honourable gentleman will soon be concluding his remarks. Further to that point of order, Mr. Pugh.
I want to make is the cases he is talking about and taking length over are not cases covered by this legislation. They are not terminally ill cases.
Order, that is not a point of order. We are not wasting time this morning on points of order. We are not wasting time. There are many people who wish to speak. Sir Keir Starmer.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I will finish just as quickly as I can, and I do understand the frustration of members in the House who are waiting to speak. And I'll finish by saying this. It took me a great deal of time and thought to arrive at appropriate safeguards in the guidelines. And in my view, the same time and appropriate thought is necessary for the guidelines in this bill. They've been discussed by others. I won't repeat them here, but I will say this, that I, for my part, will be open to debate with anyone as to whether the safeguards are strong enough and robust enough, and I'd work with anyone in this House at the committee stage to make sure that they are, and to ensure not only that they're as strong and robust as possible, but also that they have the best consensus possible amongst the different views in this House. Thank you.
Nadine Dorries.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. It's a privilege to follow the member for Holborn St Pancras, and I would like to make an intervention on his speech. The cases that he has highlighted of Nicholson and Purdy are not covered by this legislation. Locked-in syndrome, which is a syndrome that he described of being paralysed except for movement of the head and the eyes, has no 6-month limit, and this bill makes the provision for people who are terminally ill and will die anyway within a 6-month period. Neither of the cases that he highlighted will fall within this. In fact, I met with a neurologist earlier on this week who spoke to me about a skiing accident he'd had, and he